This is the story of Mahatma Gandhi, a man whose life did not begin with confidence or power, but with hesitation, fear, and quiet observation. He was born in 1869 in the small coastal town of Porbandar, where life followed slow rhythms shaped by tradition and routine. His family was known and respected in the local community, yet they lived without wealth or luxury. His father, Karamchand Gandhi, served as a local government official, a position that required patience, balance, and responsibility. From watching his father, Gandhi learned early that authority does not always come from loud words or forceful actions, but from calm judgment and steady behavior. His mother, on the other hand, lived a deeply religious life defined by prayer, fasting, and discipline. She believed that controlling desires was essential for inner peace, and although she rarely gave long instructions, her daily actions quietly taught Gandhi the importance of truth, restraint, and moral strength. As a child, Gandhi was shy and withdrawn. He did not enjoy attention and avoided speaking whenever possible. At school, he was an average student, neither excelling nor failing, and teachers rarely noticed him. He struggled with fear, especially fear of making mistakes and fear of being judged by others. Darkness frightened him, and loneliness made him uneasy. These fears did not disappear as he grew older, but instead became part of his inner world, shaping the way he understood suffering and human weakness. Unlike children who act without thinking, Gandhi reflected deeply on his actions, often feeling strong guilt when he believed he had done something wrong. One experience during his early years remained with him throughout his life. As a young boy, Gandhi once lied to his father to hide a small mistake. When his father learned the truth, he did not react with anger or punishment. Instead, he showed quiet disappointment and sadness. That silent response affected Gandhi more deeply than harsh words ever could. He understood in that moment that dishonesty damages trust and creates inner pain. From then on, truth became central to the way he viewed life, not as a rule imposed from outside, but as a personal responsibility. Gandhi was married at a young age, as was common in India at the time. Marriage brought responsibility early in his life and taught him lessons about patience, duty, and self-control. At the same time, he struggled internally to balance personal desires with moral discipline. These inner conflicts did not make him stronger immediately, but they forced him to reflect deeply on human behavior and self-restraint. As Gandhi entered adulthood, his family decided that he should study law in England. Traveling abroad was unusual and controversial, and many people feared that life in a foreign country would weaken his values. Before leaving, Gandhi promised his mother that he would follow her moral rules even while living far from home. This promise stayed with him during his entire stay in England and acted as an inner guide whenever he felt lost or tempted. When Gandhi arrived in England, he felt uncomfortable and insecure. The climate was cold, the food unfamiliar, and the social customs difficult to understand. He felt small and out of place. Wanting acceptance, he tried to change himself outwardly. He dressed like an Englishman, followed English manners, and attempted to copy the behavior of those around him. Yet the more he tried to fit in, the more disconnected he felt inside. He began to realize, slowly and painfully, that changing appearances does not bring inner peace. This realization did not come suddenly, but through loneliness, reflection, and repeated disappointment. While studying law, Gandhi read widely, including books on religion and ethics. These readings gradually influenced his thinking, though confidence still did not come easily to him. He doubted himself often and remained unsure about his future. Still, he completed his studies and returned to India with the hope that education would bring success and respect. Back in India, Gandhi faced another period of failure. As a lawyer, he struggled in court. His voice shook when he spoke, his thoughts escaped him, and he found it difficult to argue cases. Clients lost confidence in him, and his income remained low. This period tested his patience and self-belief. Many people would have abandoned their profession after such repeated disappointment, but Gandhi continued searching for a direction in life rather than giving up completely. An opportunity came when he accepted a legal assignment in South Africa. He expected it to be a short visit, a way to earn money and gain experience. He did not realize that this journey would become the turning point of his life. In South Africa, Gandhi encountered racial discrimination directly and repeatedly. Indians were treated as inferior, restricted by unfair laws, and excluded from many public spaces. At first, Gandhi tried to tolerate these injustices quietly, believing that patience would protect him. One incident, however, changed his path forever. While traveling by train with a valid first-class ticket, Gandhi was ordered to leave the compartment simply because he was Indian. When he refused, he was thrown out of the train and left alone on a cold railway platform. Sitting there that night, Gandhi felt humiliation and shock, but he also felt clarity. He realized that accepting injustice meant losing dignity. He asked himself whether it was right to remain silent in the face of unfair treatment. From that moment, Gandhi decided that he would resist injustice, but not through violence. He believed that violence only leads to more suffering and hatred. Instead, he chose peaceful resistance based on truth, patience, and moral courage. This choice required great inner strength because it meant facing pain without retaliation. In South Africa, Gandhi began organizing Indians to oppose unfair laws peacefully. Many were arrested and beaten. Gandhi himself was imprisoned several times. Each arrest strengthened his belief that suffering endured without hatred could expose injustice more powerfully than violence ever could. Over time, his ideas gained attention and respect, and his approach inspired many people. When Gandhi returned to India after his years in South Africa, he was no longer the uncertain young lawyer who had once struggled to speak in court. He had been shaped by years of discrimination, resistance, and inner discipline, and although he still spoke softly, his presence carried a quiet authority. India at that time was living under British rule, and daily life for many people was marked by poverty, fear, and helplessness. The British controlled laws, resources, and trade, and ordinary people felt that their voices did not matter. Gandhi did not arrive in India with anger or loud speeches. Instead, he chose to observe and listen. He traveled across villages and towns, meeting farmers, laborers, and ordinary families. He listened to their struggles carefully and patiently. He understood that before leading a nation, he needed to understand its pain. Gandhi lived simply, just as the poorest people lived. He wore simple clothes, ate simple food, and avoided comfort. This was not done to impress others, but to remain close to reality. He believed that leaders should not rise above the people, but walk beside them. As people listened to Gandhi, they began to trust him. His words were clear and calm. He did not promise quick results or easy victories. Instead, he spoke about patience, unity, and self-respect. Slowly, his message spread across the country. One of the first major struggles Gandhi became involved in India focused on farmers who were suffering under unfair laws and heavy taxes. The farmers were poor and exhausted, and many felt hopeless. Gandhi encouraged them to remain peaceful but firm. He helped them organize and speak with one voice. When the authorities responded with pressure and arrests, Gandhi did not back down. Once again, Gandhi was imprisoned. Prison did not frighten him. He accepted it as part of the struggle. To him, suffering for truth was not a weakness, but a responsibility. During these early years in India, Gandhi often reflected on the direction the country was taking. He believed that freedom could not be rushed and that discipline was as important as resistance. He spoke often about unity, warning that division would weaken the struggle. As more people came to know Gandhi, his influence grew naturally. He did not seek power or position. People followed him because his life matched his words. He continued to travel, listen, and learn, shaping his understanding of India step by step. At this stage, Gandhi was still preparing himself and the nation for a much larger struggle ahead. He believed that true change required patience, courage, and moral strength. As Gandhi continued his journey across India, his understanding of the country deepened with every village he visited and every conversation he had. India was not a single voice or a single experience, but a collection of many lives shaped by poverty, tradition, fear, and hope. Gandhi observed carefully, realizing that political freedom alone would not be enough if people remained divided, dependent, and unsure of their own strength. During this period, Gandhi began to speak more clearly about self-reliance. He believed that freedom required more than protest against British rule. It required Indians to depend less on foreign goods and systems. He encouraged people to use locally made products and to respect manual labor. These ideas were not dramatic or exciting, but Gandhi believed that lasting change often begins quietly. Gandhi also became increasingly aware of the divisions within Indian society. Differences of religion, caste, and region often prevented people from standing together. He spoke gently but firmly about unity, reminding people that freedom could not be achieved if Indians fought among themselves. His words were not commands, they were appeals to conscience. As his influence grew, Gandhi was invited to participate more actively in national political discussions. He joined meetings and spoke to leaders who were already involved in the struggle for independence. Unlike many politicians, Gandhi did not speak in complex language or make bold promises. He spoke slowly, using simple words that ordinary people could understand. During this time, Gandhi became involved in several local struggles where people were facing injustice. In each case, his approach remained the same. He listened first, then encouraged peaceful resistance, discipline, and unity. When authorities responded with pressure or arrests, Gandhi accepted the consequences calmly. Prison became a familiar place for Gandhi once again. He did not see imprisonment as a failure. To him, it was part of the cost of standing for truth. During these periods, he reflected deeply on his methods and his responsibilities. Gandhi also spent much time thinking about the moral foundation of the freedom movement. He believed that means were as important as ends. If freedom was achieved through hatred or violence, he feared it would not last. For Gandhi, discipline, honesty, and nonviolence were not strategies, but principles. As more people listened to Gandhi, his role within the national movement expanded naturally. He did not seek titles or authority, but people increasingly looked to him for guidance. His calm presence offered reassurance in a time of uncertainty. At the same time, Gandhi faced criticism. Some felt his methods were too slow. Others believed that stronger action was necessary. Gandhi listened to these voices, but remained steady in his beliefs. He understood that patience is often tested when change feels urgent. During these years, Gandhi focused on preparing both himself and the nation for a larger struggle. He believed that courage without discipline could turn into chaos. He continued to travel, teach, and reflect, laying a foundation that would support future movements. By the end of this phase, Gandhi had become a national figure, not through dramatic actions, but through consistency and integrity. The country was slowly awakening, and Gandhi sensed that a decisive moment was approaching. As the years passed, the movement for freedom in India slowly began to change in scale and energy. What had once been local struggles and small gatherings started to grow into something broader and more visible. Gandhi sensed this change, and instead of rushing forward, he became even more careful with his words and actions. He understood that when movements grow larger, they also become more fragile. Gandhi continued to emphasize discipline and nonviolence at every opportunity. He reminded people that anger could easily destroy what patience had built. In meetings and gatherings, he spoke calmly, repeating the same ideas again and again until they became familiar. Freedom, he said, was not just about removing British rule, but about building inner strength and responsibility among the people. During this period, Gandhi encouraged Indians to take small but meaningful steps towards self-reliance. He spoke about the importance of local industry and simple living. These ideas did not excite everyone, but they slowly changed how people thought about dignity and dependence. Gandhi believed that a nation could not truly be free if it relied completely on systems controlled by others. As more people joined the movement, Gandhi faced the challenge of guiding a growing crowd without losing moral direction. Gandhi warned repeatedly that violence, even when driven by frustration, would only delay freedom. Some listeners agreed with him, while others grew impatient. Gandhi listened to these concerns, but remained firm in his belief that lasting change required restraint. At the same time, the British authorities began to watch Gandhi more closely. They recognized that his influence was increasing, even though his methods were peaceful. Laws were enforced more strictly, and pressure on activists increased. Gandhi responded not with confrontation, but with calm preparation. He spent long periods thinking and writing, considering how to bring the entire nation into a shared act of resistance that would be peaceful, symbolic, and easy to understand. He believed that the next step should involve ordinary people directly, not just leaders or organizations. The action needed to be simple enough for everyone to participate, yet strong enough to challenge authority. During his travels, Gandhi continued to speak with villagers and workers, listening carefully to their daily struggles. He noticed how even basic necessities were controlled and taxed, placing a heavy burden on the poor. These observations stayed with him. Slowly, an idea began to take shape, not as a sudden decision, but as the result of long reflection. Gandhi shared his thoughts carefully with close followers, emphasizing patience and readiness. He reminded them that any large action would invite consequences, including arrests and suffering. Those who wished to participate would need courage, discipline, and commitment to nonviolence. As anticipation grew, Gandhi remained outwardly calm. He continued his daily routine, spoke gently, and avoided dramatic announcements. Yet beneath this calm, he was preparing the nation for a moment that would soon draw the attention of the world. By the end of this phase, the atmosphere in India had changed. People sensed that a turning point was near. Gandhi had helped build patience, unity, and moral clarity over many years, and now the country stood quietly on the edge of a major step forward. The moment Gandhi had been preparing for arrived quietly, without drama or celebration. After years of reflection and preparation, he announced that he would lead a march to challenge the salt laws imposed by the British government. Salt was a simple substance used by everyone, rich and poor alike. The British had placed strict controls and taxes on it, turning a basic necessity into a symbol of control. Gandhi chose salt precisely because it touched every life and required no special skill or power to understand. The march began with a small group of followers. They walked slowly, step by step, through villages and towns. With each passing day, more people joined them. Crowds gathered along the roads, watching quietly, listening carefully. Gandhi did not rush. He walked at a steady pace, speaking gently, reminding everyone that the purpose of the march was not anger, but dignity. As the march continued, news spread across India. Newspapers reported on the journey, and people far from the path of the march began to feel connected to it. The act itself was simple, but its meaning was powerful. It showed that ordinary people could stand together peacefully and challenge authority without weapons. When Gandhi finally reached the sea, he bent down and picked up a small amount of salt. This quiet gesture marked a direct challenge to British law. It was not loud or dramatic, yet it carried enormous weight. Across the country, people followed his example, making or collecting salt in defiance of the law. The British authorities responded with arrests. Thousands of people were taken into custody. Peaceful protesters were beaten and imprisoned. Gandhi himself was arrested soon after. He accepted arrest calmly, knowing it was part of the path he had chosen. With Gandhi in prison, many wondered whether the movement would lose its direction. Instead, it continued. People remained committed to nonviolence, even in the face of harsh treatment. The discipline Gandhi had emphasized for so long now showed its strength. Images and reports of peaceful protesters facing violence began to reach the outside world. International attention grew. Many people were shocked by the contrast between unarmed resistance and the force used against it. The movement gained moral strength even as it endured physical suffering. In prison, Gandhi continued to reflect and write. He remained focused on the larger purpose of the struggle. He believed that suffering accepted without hatred could awaken conscience and bring change. The Salt March marked a turning point. It transformed the struggle for freedom from an idea shared by leaders into an experience lived by millions. Ordinary people now felt directly involved. The movement had entered a new phase, one that would test endurance, unity, and faith in nonviolence. By the end of this period, India was no longer the same. The sense of fear had begun to weaken, replaced by a quiet confidence. Gandhi's method had shown that simple actions, carried out with discipline and courage, could challenge even the strongest authority. As the years following the Salt March unfolded, the struggle for freedom entered its most complex and painful phase. The British government could no longer ignore the strength of the movement, yet agreement on the future of India remained difficult. Negotiations began and stopped repeatedly, and periods of hope were often followed by disappointment. Gandhi remained patient through these changes, believing that lasting solutions required time, restraint, and sincerity. During this period, Gandhi continued to travel, speak, and fast whenever he felt the moral direction of the struggle was weakening. His fasts were not meant to pressure governments, but to appeal to the conscience of the people. He believed that self-suffering could remind individuals of their responsibility toward one another. These actions often caused concern for his health, but Gandhi remained calm and firm in his purpose. As independence grew closer, tensions between different communities within India increased. Long-standing fears and misunderstandings began to surface, and in many places violence broke out. Gandhi was deeply troubled by this development. He had always believed that freedom without unity would be incomplete and fragile. When the decision was made to divide the country, Gandhi accepted it with sorrow rather than celebration. For many, independence brought joy, but for Gandhi, it was mixed with deep sadness. He saw the suffering caused by division and the loss of countless lives. Instead of joining celebrations, Gandhi chose to walk through areas affected by violence, speaking directly to people and asking them to lay down their anger. In cities and villages torn apart by fear, Gandhi spoke softly but firmly. He reminded people that hatred could not build a future. He fasted again, believing that his own suffering might help stop the suffering of others. Many were moved by his actions, and in some places violence slowed or stopped. Gandhi's health weakened during these final months, but his commitment did not. He continued to meet visitors, listen to concerns, and speak about peace and responsibility. He believed that independence was not the end of the journey, but the beginning of a new challenge. On a January evening in 1948, Gandhi was assassinated. The news shocked the nation and the world. A man who had devoted his life to nonviolence had been killed by violence. For many, the loss felt personal, as though a guiding presence had suddenly disappeared. Yet Gandhi's influence did not end with his death. His life left behind a powerful example of how truth, patience, and moral courage can shape history. He showed that leadership does not require force, and that quiet determination can move millions. Gandhi's story is not one of perfection, but of constant effort. He struggled, reflected, failed, and tried again. His life reminds us that real change begins within individuals and spreads through disciplined action. This is the story of Mahatma Gandhi, a man who chose conscience over comfort, peace over power, and truth over fear.